Hello guys, it's me MP back with another video. This time it's a remake of my old Legendary Godzilla scaling video. Because coming back to it, there are too many issues with my old video on the topic, and Legendary Godzilla was far stronger than I previously thought, which is why I had to remake that video. The video was good, or at the very least okay for its time, but I decided to remake with more and more accurate information. I actually managed to get this guy to be at solar system level consistently, which is even higher than dwarf star to large star level. And I will be going over how in this video. So with all that said, please enjoy the video, people. The calculation I used for Legendary Godzilla scaling was very outdated as hell. For example, we have the dwarf star level for the gamma ray burst and hollow earth feet, and they're all lowballed calcs. The calcs Goji Chronic used were outdated, and if we do actual research, a gamma ray burst would actually scale from anywhere from large star to solar system level, not dwarf star level, so this already invalidates the calc. And the hollow earth also backscales to the gamma ray bursts, so it would also scale to anywhere from large star to solar system level. Moreover, all the dwarf star level calcs are intentionally trying to lowball Legendary Godzilla, which makes it even more unreliable. Higher ends are just far more consistent, which is why they should be used instead. So that's why I will be correcting the mistakes in this video. And also, a full power Godzilla would actually be 75 times Dominion Godzilla, not 40 times Dominion Godzilla. I will address this, but this calc basically sums it up. I also made some mistakes regarding Evolved Godzilla, but I already addressed it in a power scaling video on him, so you can go check that out if you want. Either way, with all that said, let's get started, people. So, although I will be addressing his amps, let's first start off with his base form, because that will be the most important for this video. With all that said, let's get started. So starting off with statements, it's been implied Godzilla scales to at least 30 gamma ray bursts if we watch the show Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Now, how powerful is each gamma ray burst? Well, for starters, each gamma ray burst would scale to about 1 foe at least, and that already gets him to large star level. If we multiply that by 30, we get about 30 foes, which would get him to about solar system level. And before you, but MP Monarch, Legacy of Monsters isn't canon to the main movies. Please shut the fuck up with that shitty-ass excuse. It doesn't matter because it can still be seen as soft canon, so it would still be safe to use. And it works as a baseline foundation for the scaling of Legendary's kaijus, so I will keep using it. Anyways, not only does Legendary Godzilla scale to 30 gamma ray bursts, he could even scale to 300 of them because it was stated that the hollow Earth holds 10 times more radiation than the surface, or that the Earth was 10 times more radioactive than before. So this already gets base Legendary Goji to be 300 foe or solar system level. But wait, we can use that gamma ray statement to get him even higher, since 300 exahertz equals 1,439,773,024,008 Kelvin, and the energy source of the hollow Earth is the inner core, which has an area of 1.00759 times 10 to the power of 19 cubic meters, according to the given radius. The energy readings from the hollow Earth core are almost identical to Godzilla's readings. So let's do some basic calculations. Calculation. Here is the calculation on Legendary Godzilla's scaling. It's really good. 5.67 times 10 to the minus 8 times 1.00759 times 10 to the plus 19 meters cubed times 1,439,773,024 8 degrees Kelvin to the fourth power equals 2.4549 52.183 times 10 to the plus 52 watts or joules per second 245,495,218.3 foe, divided by 245.5 megafoe, or solar system level. So we already got Legendary Godzilla to 245 megafoe, or solar system level in his base form, and we are not even done yet. We are just getting started because we are moving on to the Hollow Earth feat, and while it won't be as impressive, it would still be pretty OP regardless. Godzilla was able to blast through the Hollow Earth, which scales to 7 quintillions or dwarf star level. And let's remember, it was confirmed this Godzilla was weakened at about 50% full power. It's shown that only 50% of his power was restored after the events of Dominion, so G19 from MLOM and KOTM would be 2 times stronger than G21. We know Godzilla grows stronger by hibernating in areas with energy, but since G21 didn't hibernate and train, he wouldn't have been restored to his full power. Hibernation is what stores Godzilla to his full power, but we know G21 didn't hibernate. He only got half sleep, which would have restored him to only 50% full power. There are also trash arguments like G21 glowing more, but this can just be dismissed as CGI inconsistency. G24 is confirmed to be superior to G21, but he glows visually far less than G21 does, which disproves the glow equals power argument. But this will be saved for a separate video. This is what makes this feat impressive if we are talking about cross-verse topics. In terms of inverse, this feat is trash though, since we Godzilla do far more impressive things consistently. But since a 100% Godzilla already scales to 245 megafoe, let's divide that by 2. We get about 122.5 megafoe, which would still scale to solar system level for a 50% Godzilla. Though that's not exactly impressive since a 2 times difference is not a huge gap, and G19 would just mid to high diff G21. But there is another even more impressive feat that Legendary Godzilla has performed in an even weaker state than G21, who was already weakened. Also, let's not forget that Godzilla consistently scales to the vile vortexes or hollow earth portals, which have directly been compared to black holes in power. Adam Wingard himself literally stated that they're black holes in the form of portals.
Anybody's time. And so whenever I was trying to think this through, I thought, well, what if there's this sort of like black hole vortex, that's part of the entrance, and that kind of warps you down there. And that started out as sort of an efficient way to get the characters where we needed them. And also I've always wanted to do a sequence that's like 2001: A Space Odyssey, you know what I mean, where you got all the, the classic Stargate sequence. That's what that was sort of based on. But it was interesting because after we kind of had committed to that and got it in the script, I was watching an episode, I believe it was Ancient Aliens, and they had a whole thing about Hollow Earth, and they were specifically talking about black hole vortexes, all around the world that are kind of like hidden in there. And I thought that was so interesting because that was something that like nobody kind of had, I'd never heard that before, and yet it was something that just kind of came up and ended up, again, kind of lining up with that conspiracy roadmap. Either that or maybe I am a T.
In fact, it's not just what Adam said, but it's also what has been stated in the Godzilla vs. Kong novel too, which makes it even more reliable. And for more proof they're indeed black holes, it was also stated that they distort space-time, which further proves that they are indeed real black holes. The show goes more in depth about it, but I will only show just this screenshot to save time. These black hole portals have been calculated to be about anywhere from 10.33 to 83.344481 foes, or large star level to solar system level, which would be accurate and aligned with a real black hole. And it was also shown that the Hollow Earth has 30 of these black holes, and again, Godzilla was stated to have readings equal to the Hollow Earth. So he would be about 309.9 to 2,500 foe if we base his scaling specifically on the Hollow Earth's black holes. But I do have news that may shock you, and it's that Dominion Godzilla, who is the weakest version of Legendary Godzilla side from the one affected by the oxygen destroyer, can already destroy the Hollow Earth portal. And how much weaker was Dominion Godzilla? Well, according to the calculations, there is a 75 times more power difference. In GXK, Godzilla defeats Scylla in 4 blows. A one-shot difference is 10 times. So 10 divided by 4 equates to a 2.5 times difference. This Scylla is at least 30 times stronger than Dominion Scylla, who scales to Dominion Goji, since she absorbed 30 nukes, while Dominion Scylla failed to absorb 1. This means Dominion Goji is 75 times weaker than base G19 or base G24. Base G19 and base G24 are pretty much confirmed to be equals, but G24 is a bit older and has more training. It was confirmed that after the events of Dominion and Godzilla vs. Kong, that Godzilla restored himself to full power, so he would be a little bit more powerful than G19, who would also scale to 75 times Dominion. Since Dominion Goji can destroy a black hole portal of 10.33 to 83.344481 foes, that means a full-powered base Godzilla would upscale this by 75 times. So this would already bring a full-powered Godzilla to 774.75 to 6,251 foes. But seeing how there was already a calc for a full-powered Godzilla being 245 foe, we can just divide his scaling by 75 to calculate Dominion scaling, and we get about 3.3 megafoes for Dominion Godzilla. So even while close to death, or at only 1.33% full power, Godzilla was still capable of destroying black holes, which is a very impressive feat. In fact, having any scaling to the hollow Earth would already grant you small star to large star levels of power due to how there are so many vile vortexes or hollow Earth black holes and stars inside it. But Devonlui already explained it better than me. Also, the power gap between G14 and G19/G24 isn't as big as people think. There's a calculation done by my friend Maurice, and there is only a 9% power difference. So even if they're not exactly equal, they're still close to equal. This would also upscale the Muto pair since they can fight on par with G14. And no, G14 was not weakened in the movie. There are too many contradictions on him being weakened, and you can watch a video I made on that topic. Either way, G14 being only 9% weaker should scale to about 223 megafoe or solar system level. He's just a slightly weaker version of G19/G24. G21 is at 50% full power, so he would scale to half of where a 100% full power Godzilla scales. So, he would be about 122.5 megafoes. By the way, for more consistency for his solar system level scaling, we know that Legendary Godzilla was directly compared to stars, and that's likely even a lowball, as the same statement directly implies that Godzilla's atomic breath is the strongest thing in nature. It's more than likely it's not just referring to the Earth, but also in the universe too. Also, before you say King Ghidorah and Shimo have more powerful attacks, they're not natural titans, so using them to contradict the statement is invalid. Moreover, with all the gamma ray mentions in mind, this further makes the solar system level scaling for Legendary Godzilla consistent. And if you're stupid enough to say, but Mum P, if Monsterverse Earth had gamma ray bursts and black holes it would explode, please cry me a fucking river, because that just upscales the Monsterverse Earth. The MV Earth already differs from the real-life Earth in many regards, so it's safe to say that Legendary Godzilla scales to solar system level no matter what excuses you invent. And the whole excuse that all these statements are metaphorical or hyperbolic don't even work when you realize they're so consistent, and that Legendary Godzilla's atomic breath has been compared to outer space phenomenons so many times to where it's safe to use the solar system level scalings. Like, if you're going to ignore these statements and still insist the gamma ray bursts and black hole statements are metaphorical, there is no hope in trying to talk to you, because they're very consistent. So his base AP scales to 245 megafoes, or solar system level. But what about his durability, physical power, and combat speed? Well, these categories are going to be addressed right now, And let's start off with durability first. Moving on to durability, we know it would at the very least scale to his AP since he can fire his atomic breath without killing himself, meaning yes, he does scale to his beam. And that's not where it ends. He can actually tank King Kong's charged battle axe without even hurting himself. Yes, we know the charged axe's energy would be 3 times Godzilla's own atomic breath, because that same axe was charged 3 times. So yes, the charged axe is 3 times more powerful than Godzilla's atomic breath. And once again, he took it to the fucking face, which is impressive. Not only that, but he can tank the hollow earth crushing down on him, which further justifies him outscaling his atomic breath. So yes, his durability would be 3 times his own atomic breath. As for physical strength, we can start off with the less impressive feats and then move on to the more impressive feats of the matter. So we know he can casually grab and throw titans weighing thousands of tons, but that's nowhere near as impressive as his other feats. He was able to effortlessly overpower Kong, the same Kong who was capable of opening a door that was calculated to weigh 2.3 million tons, by the way. And let's remember this was a weakened Godzilla. At the start of Godzilla vs. Kong, he was 50% full power, but we know that after constantly wasting his energy in swimming, he lost another 50% and was therefore 25% full power during his fight with Kong in Hong Kong. How huge was the physical strength gap between Godzilla and Kong? Well, seeing how Godzilla essentially killed Kong in 2 steps, that would make him at least 5 times stronger physically, but you could even argue a 10 times power gap because Godzilla was basically holding back on Kong for most of the fight. This means this weakened G-21 would be capable of moving 11.5 to 23 million tons of weight. And again, this was a Godzilla at 25% full power, so he was 4 times weaker than he was during the start of GKOTM and MLOM, or the start of GXK. If we multiply Hong Kong G-21's strength by 4, we can conclude a full power base, Legendary Godzilla can move about 46 to 92 million metric tons. And now you can be ratty and argue he could move 5.97 sextillion tons because he went relative to Muto Prime physically, and that Muto Prime can shake the Earth, which weighs 5.97 sextillion tons. But there is an issue, and that would be the fact that Muto Prime only shook the Earth because she used her roar, not because she used her brute strength. There is no evidence suggesting she could shake the Earth physically, but nonetheless, she still has impressive feats. It's very clear Titans in the Monsterverse can move millions of tons with ease. So yup, Legendary Godzilla can easily move around 46 to 92 million tons in his base form, so one can only imagine what his amped strength is like. Now what about combat speed? Well, that's what's about to be addressed, because it will play a lot more as a factor in battles than you think. In fact, it's something I should have addressed in my old version of this video. Anyways, let's get right into it. So moving on to combat speed, Godzilla can actually easily catch up to Kong very easily. And how fast is King Kong? Well, he caught up to Godzilla's atomic breath, and it was confirmed Godzilla's atomic breath at the speed of light, and Kong is as fast as the same atomic breath. And yet, Godzilla has constantly caught up to King Kong very easily while holding back, and he seems like he is as fast as him, and he was holding back too. If he wasn't holding back, he would probably be 2 times faster than Kong, and Kong is equal to light speed, so multiply that by 2, and we get Godzilla to be 2 times the speed of light. But wait, this was a 25% full power Godzilla? If he was at 100% full power, he would be 8 times the speed of light roughly. So he is a decently fast Godzilla, but Final Wars Godzilla has been calculated to be hundreds to thousands of times the speed of light, but that's irrelevant to the topic, and Legendary Godzilla would still shit-stomp Final Wars very easily. Since Legendary Godzilla scales to solar system level, this means kaijus like King Ghidorah, Shimo, and easily King Kong and a few other titans would also scale to solar system level, but their scalings will be addressed in separate videos. So the summary is that Legendary Godzilla is a very strong Godzilla. His attack potency is 245 megapho or solar system level. His durability is 3 times greater than his attack potency, and his combat speed is about 8 times greater than the speed of light. As for physical strength, he can throw around 46 to 92 million tons. And let's remember, this is just his base form. His amps just get this guy's scaling even higher, So let's start off with Energized Godzilla and then move on to other amps. Now that I have addressed how Legendary Godzilla, even in his base form, is solar system level, I will now go over how powerful his amps like Energized, Evolved, Nuke-Amped, Spiral Ray, and Burning are. But let's start with Energized because that will make things easier. So, how powerful is Energized Godzilla? Well, it was stated he is a supercharged form of Godzilla, and we know that Energized Godzilla supercharged himself again when he became Evolved Godzilla because it was stated he will supercharge. And we know that when he emerged out of the iceberg, he became 2 more powerful than his energized form, and this means that he was 2 times his base form in his energized state, because supercharges, as of GXK, are 2 times multipliers. To further back up the claim that energized would be 2 times more powerful than base, he absorbed the energy from the power plant, which would have doubled his power. It would make sense, and that means canonically supercharges boost Godzilla's power by 2 times. Now, there are exceptions such as Nuke-Amped Godzilla, but this guy is more like an overcharge than he is to a regular supercharge, so he doesn't count. And no, Energized Godzilla is not comparable to Burning Godzilla in power, only looks. He doesn't even get past to Nuke-Amped Godzilla. Nuke-Amped Godzilla would mid-diff him at best, but that's for a separate video. Therefore, being a supercharge, it's safe to conclude Energized Godzilla is 2 times more powerful than his base form. And let's remember his base atomic breath is already 245 megapho. So double that, and his energized atomic breath would be 490 megapho. And his durability is 3 times his attack potency, or AP for short. This also means his reaction speed is 16 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw around 92 to 184 million tons.
Get any closer than this? Godzilla's burning Hollow's radiation. Whatever he's headed for has him really pissed off.
Evolved Godzilla does very much indeed upscale from Energized Godzilla and not base Godzilla. Godzilla didn't go back to his base form when he entered the iceberg because he is still glowing. He entered the layer with the power plant buff, and we clearly see the energy from the power plant buff in Godzilla's dorsal plates as he started to absorb the solar winds. If this was really his base form, there would have been no point to metabolizing the energy of a power plant to supercharge himself. So to put it simply, Evolved Godzilla is 2 times more powerful than the Energized Godzilla. So Evolved Godzilla emerged twice as strong as Energized Godzilla, and this is very obvious. This means he is the result of 2 supercharges stacked on top of base Legendary Godzilla. Now, how powerful is Energized Godzilla? Well, it was stated he is a supercharged form of Godzilla, and we know that Energized Godzilla supercharged himself again when he became Evolved Godzilla, because it was stated he will supercharge. And we know that when he emerged out of the iceberg, he became 2 more powerful than his energized form, and this means that he was 2 times his base form in his energized state, because supercharges, as of GXK, are 2 times multipliers. To further back up the claim that energized would be 2 times more powerful than base, he absorbed the energy from the power plant, which would have doubled his power. So this means that base evolved is 4 times more powerful than his base form, because he is 2 times more powerful than energized, who is 2 times more powerful than his base form. It would make sense, and that means canonically supercharges boost Godzilla's power by 2 times, and the fact he supercharged himself 2 times proves that evolved would be 4 times his base form. Being 2 supercharges stacked, we can conclude evolved Godzilla is 4 times above his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megapho, so multiply that by 4, and his evolved atomic breath would be 980 megapho, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his reaction speed is 32 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw about 184 to 368 million tons. Spiral Ray Godzilla is a very interesting case. He has pretty much 3 supercharges stacked on top of base G24. He is confirmed to be Evolved Godzilla's supercharged form, and Evolved Godzilla is already 2 supercharges stacked. But I think that's pretty obvious. He is outright stated to be 20 times more powerful than his base form, which means he is 5 times more powerful than base Evolved and 10 times more powerful than Energized. We know that the 20 times more capacity statement is directly implying 20 times more energy, because the novel states that Spiral Ray Godzilla barely contained his energy. There is no reason to believe that the 20 times more energy capacity would apply to base Evolved, if the whole point of evolving as you can safely store 20 times more energy when you supercharge. If your energy capacity has increased by 20 times, that means you can safely become 20 times more powerful and durable than your base form. Also, you may be thinking he should be 8 times more powerful than base because he is a 3rd supercharge. But the truth is that different supercharges have different powers. Base Evolved would have been double energized casually, but since he absorbed so much energy, it makes sense he can increase his own AP and durability by 5 times. This makes him very OP. He was confirmed to be a more controlled and slightly stronger version of Nuke-Amped Godzilla by Greg Keyes. And Nuke-Amped was calculated to be 20 times base, though some calculations have gotten him to 15 to 16 times base. Regardless, these amped forms of Godzilla consistently backscale to each other. It's just that Spiral Ray Godzilla is the more controlled form. Now, some people try to claim he is above burning, but I will put this bluntly, this is not true at all. Hampton, or for that matter Monarch, has no clue what burning's radiation is like, because they have 0 readings on him. So her perspective is nothing but subjective thoughts narrated. They have no energy readings for critical mass Nuke-Amped Godzilla or power grid amped Ghidorah and double-amped for the matter, and neither do they have it for burning Godzilla, so she only stated her opinion, but that doesn't make it valid. The aircraft left before burning Godzilla even existed. I mean, they're clearly too far away to get any readings from him in the movie, and they couldn't track Ghidorah outside his storms. Moreover, those statements would only upscale from Nuke-Amped, not burning. They imply Spiral Evolved has the most powerful atomic breath, but we didn't see Burning fire his own atomic breath, so this makes it irrelevant. But that's for a separate video. So Spiral Evolved would be about 20 times more powerful than base. There is no evidence to suggest he scales any higher, but at the same time, nothing suggests he would scale lower. Due to having a 20 times energy capacity, we can conclude Spiral Ray Godzilla is 20 times his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megaphos, so multiply that by the Spiral Ray level, and his stacked charged atomic breath would be 4,900 megaphos, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his combat speed is 160 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 920 to 1,840 million tons. Now, in terms of inverse, I have him slightly above Shuimo and Nuke-Amped Godzilla, but slightly below base King Ghidorah and far below both King Ghidorah amps and Burning Godzilla, but that will be addressed for a later video. As it stands, Spiral Ray Godzilla is a very powerful kaiju in the monsterverse, and he is definitely great for cross-verse matchups. Now let us move on to a very special Godzilla amp that appeared in King of the Monsters. Supercharged G19 or Overcharged G19, better known as Nuke-Amped Godzilla. This is the same version of Godzilla who went relative to King Ghidorah. And how high would he scale? Well, that's what I am about to address in this video. So how powerful is Nuke-Amped Godzilla? Well, for starters, we know he was confirmed to be equal to Spiral Evolved Godzilla, and Spiral Evolved Godzilla was confirmed to be 20 times more powerful than his base form, so this means Nuke-Amped Godzilla would also be 20 times more powerful than his base form too, since he is relative in power, except he's uncontrolled, while Spiral Ray Godzilla is more controlled and isn't going to explode. And yes, we know this statement is referring to Nuke-Amped, not burning. Nuke-Amped was going to explode, but burning was stabilized by Mothra. It also couldn't be burning, because not only was burning not going to explode, but he was also controlled. For comparison, Nuke-Amped is obviously an uncontrolled form who can't contain the energy for so long. Therefore, Spiral Evolved is the more controlled variant. Basically, Spiral Ray is equal to Nuke-Amped in power, but this time he is not going to explode. And no, pulses do not count as explosions. The novel never actually stated this, and even if it did, burning was still controlled, so obviously it would be referring to Nuke-Amped. You can see that Greg Keyes says, "I don't know," to deny Spiral Evolved being above burning, but then says he's not going to explode to say he is a more controlled version of Nuke-Amped. Nuke-Amped could be weaker, but not by a lot, so he should be about 15 to 20 times base. And the 20 times multiplier would not be inconsistent, because there is actually a calculation getting Nuke-Amped Godzilla to be 20 times base as well. So overall, Nuke-Amped Godzilla being 15 to 20 times base would be very consistent. Due to Nuke-Amped Godzilla being directly compared to Spiral Ray Godzilla, we can conclude Nuke-Amped Godzilla is 15 to 20 times his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megaphos, so multiply that by to Nuke-Amped level, and his overcharged atomic breath would be 3,675 to 4,900 megaphos, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his combat speed is 120 to 160 times the speed of light too. A very powerful kaiju indeed. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 690 to 1,840 million tons. Burning Godzilla is Godzilla's most special amp. It was outright confirmed he was only possible because of Mothra. But how powerful is he? Well, that's what's about to be addressed. First of all, he gets his scaling from King Ghidorah. And how powerful is King Ghidorah? Well, he's 20 times base Godzilla since he is narratively implied to be slightly above Nuke-Amped Godzilla, who has calcs and statements of being 20 times base Godzilla. So King Ghidorah should barely be stronger according to Greg Keyes, so he is 20 times Godzilla too. And let's remember that he got amped, and he became massively stronger after that. We will talk about Ghidorah's first amped form, also known as Power Grid Amped Ghidorah. When he got his first amp, he got even stronger. He went from being off-guarded to Nuke-Amped Godzilla, who he was initially going relative to low-diffing Nuke-Amped Godzilla and one-shotting him. We know a one-shot gap in fiction is 7.5 to 10 times difference. So this means Power Grid Amped Ghidorah is about 10 times his base form. And let's remember that base Ghidorah is already 20 times more powerful than base Godzilla. So this means Power Grid Amped Ghidorah is 200 times more powerful than base Godzilla. That was quite a jump, going from 50-50 Nuke-Amped Godzilla to one-shotting him with low difficulty. And if you think Power Grid Amped Ghidorah was insane, let's take a look at Double Amped Ghidorah, because this guy is even more powerful if anything. Moving on to Double Amped Ghidorah, This amp is even crazier than his previous amp. I have already calculated Power Grid Amped Ghidorah to be 10 times base. And no, he did not lose energy from the Power Grid amp. I will address that in an upcoming video. That's nonsense. He kept that energy. But anyways, after essentially killing Godzilla or leaving him at the brink of death, Ghidorah then absorbs his energy. We don't know how much stronger Godzilla was getting, but it's safe to say he still maintained his 20 times multiplier. Mothra's amp is kind of questionable. We don't know how much she was amplifying him before he became Burning Godzilla, so it's safe to say pre-Burning Godzilla and Nuke-Amped Godzilla are equal in power. Double-amped Ghidorah would have been amped by like 20 times since he is absorbing energy from a Godzilla, 20 times his own base form, and let's remember this Ghidorah is 10 times his base form. Double-amped Ghidorah would be 20 times Power Grid amped Ghidorah since he absorbed 20 times more energy. And Power Grid amped Ghidorah is 10 times base Ghidorah. 20 times 10 equals 200, so double-amped Ghidorah would be about 200 times base Ghidorah. And again, let's remember that base Ghidorah is 20 times more powerful than base Godzilla, so this means he would be 4,000 times more powerful than base Godzilla. Also, his double amp could be even higher, by the way. Ghidorah gets ridiculous amps from absorbing energy from a power grid for just a few seconds, which made him go from 50-50ing Godzilla to low diffing him. Imagine if he absorbs energy from a Godzilla that was overloaded with too much energy. That means he is 200 times his base form at worst. You can argue he is thousands of times his base form, but I will stick to 200 times because even though far higher numbers are more likely, it's still hard to quantify the exact values. Either way, as it stands, double-amped Ghidorah is cracked. And as we all know,
Burning Godzilla murders him.
Burning Godzilla would at the very least be 3.333 times more powerful than double-amped Ghidorah since he three-shotted. That would also make him about 13,332 times his base form. This means Burning Godzilla is Godzilla's most powerful amp. And let's remember, you could argue that he is 10 times more powerful than double-amped Ghidorah, since the main reason why he took 3 pulses to kill him was because of the distance. It's not hard to assume that when close enough, Burning would have one-shotted him. That would mean he is 40,000 times his base form using high ends. So this means Burning is anywhere from 13,332 to 40,000 times base Godzilla, because of how he very easily defeated this double-amped Ghidorah, who was 200 times base Ghidorah, which would mean the double-amped Ghidorah was 4,000 times base Godzilla. Burning Godzilla is therefore Godzilla's most powerful amp. In terms of scaling, his attack potency would be 3,266,340 to 9,800,000 megapho or multi-solar system level. His durability would upscale from that by 3 times. As for his reaction speed, he would be about 106,656 to 320,000 times the speed of light. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 613,272 to 3,680,000 million tons. And yes, we know Godzilla's physical power and AP correlate unless stated otherwise. His fight with King Ghidorah consistently shows this. He couldn't dent Ghidorah's neck while stepping on it in his Nuke-Amped form, but in his burning form, he crushed Ghidorah's chest in a single stomp. This is a huge power difference and shows that strength and energy correlate. We also have Evolved Godzilla getting physically overpowered by Shimo, but then he physically overpowers Shimo in his Spiral Ray state. This is a very clear change in power, but I could possibly make a different video going over this. So in summary, Legendary Godzilla is indeed solar system level. I was very wrong in my previous video, but I did change my mind and I joined the light side. Legendary Godzilla scales above gamma ray bursts, and gamma ray bursts are anywhere from large star to solar system level. Same with black holes. Solar system level scalings only make so much sense if you think about it. It's 100% reliable, and do not fucking chat to me. If you disagree with the solar system level scalings, cry me a river. Base Legendary. Godzilla's attack potency is 245 megapho, or solar system level with his atomic breath. His durability is 3 times greater than his attack potency, and his combat speed is about 8 times greater than the speed of light. As for physical strength, he can throw around 46 to 92 million tons. Energized Godzilla is 2 times more powerful than his base form. And let's remember, his base atomic breath is already 245 megapho. So double that, and his energized atomic breath would be 490 megapho. And his durability is 3 times his attack potency, or AP for short. This also means his reaction speed is 16 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw around 92 to 184 million tons. Evolved Godzilla is 4 times above his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megapho, so multiply that by 4, and his evolved atomic breath would be 980 megapho, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his reaction speed is 32 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw about 184 to 368 million tons. Nuke-Amped Godzilla is 15 to 20 times his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megaphos, so multiply that by 2 Nuke-Amped level, and his overcharged atomic breath would be 3,675 to 4,900 megaphos, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his combat speed is 120 to 160 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 690 to 1,840 million tons. Spiral Ray Godzilla is 20 times his base form. The base atomic breath is already 245 megaphos, so multiply that by 2 Spiral Ray level, and his stack charged atomic breath would be 4,900 megaphos, and his durability is 3 times his AP. This also means his combat speed is 160 times the speed of light too. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 920 to 1,840 million tons. Burning Godzilla's attack potency would be 3,266,340 to 9,800,000 megapho or multi-solar system level. His durability would upscale from that by 3 times. As for his reaction speed, he would be about 106,656 to 320,000 times the speed of light. As for physical strength, he can throw anywhere from 613,272 to 3,680 million tons. So Legendary Godzilla is solar system level in his base form, but with his amps, he scales even deeper into the level. He is easily the 5th strongest version of Godzilla. Only behind Godzilla Earth, Giragoji, Showa Godzilla, and Heisei Godzilla. Anyways, that will wrap up the video. I have put so much effort into it. It took me a very long time to edit the video and get the script done. I wanted to show how I massively revised my scaling on Legendary Godzilla because it felt very important before I can continue power scaling the MonsterVerse. With all that said, I want to try getting 10 to 30 more power scaling videos done so I can start posting about paleontology again, specifically about in real life dinosaurs. But for now, have peace and have a good day, people.
Que obre un milagro, oye tus plegarias y manda al gran escualo. El Megalodon, se coma ese señor. El Megalodon, se coma ese señor. El Megalodon, se coma tu familia. El Megalodon, que muere con dolor. El Megalodon, se come un vídeo beta. El Megalodon, con euroconector. El Megalodon, se come un vegano. El Megalodon, que sabe a coliflor. El Megalodon.